Hello and welcome. So, I know it's been a little bit, but I think it's important we kind of catch up, and there's a lot that's happened. I know I say I normally don't talk about work on this channel, and I won't talk about work entirely. I'll just talk about an experience I had that kind of roughed me over at work. Uh, Essentially, what I learned is I'm not in a position to be able to negotiate my salary, which is incredibly frustrating as I see the cost of living approaching what I'm making, and my sort of line into the red at working 40 hours a week is starting to be encroached upon. And I think it's weird how, like, a place like a school district will say how much it invests in its children, and something as inconsequential as like a salary increase isn't capable of being determined on a case-by-case basis rather than on like a general scale. And that's not even a general scale that's for the benefit of the working members. It's a general scale defined by the school system itself. So it gives the impression of unit cohesion while lacking all the camaraderie that would exist were we to actually be an organized district. And I'm not saying we need to do things one way or another, but it's frustrating to experience that in, it's challenging times. But recently, I've been trying to find ways to sort of fight against this struggle. And one of the best ways I've been doing that is getting involved with my local DSA chapter. They're the Democrat Socialists of America. I kind of razzed on them a little bit last time I was here, but honestly, their organization is probably the closest thing we have to a way forward. At least as a member of the trans community, I would say that. Because the two-party system does not work. I don't know what the deal with conservatives are. Like, we could call it conservative communism, and I'm sure they'd be on board so long as it meant that they got to be racist and say Merry Christmas. Like, there are just some real terrible people in society, and I think education would certainly benefit them. So it's difficult that they struggle to educate themselves while carrying around a self-righteousness as a result of their faith in their make-believe God, which I want to make it clear, anyone can make up a God. They're just imaginary little creatures. They might as well be imaginary friends, to be honest. Like, you have a better time with Easter Bunny and stuff like that, because at least then, like, Easter Bunny hides eggs. Like, Santa Claus delivers presents. Like, what's God done for us, Like, bring about the Fourth Reich? Okay, thanks a lot, bud. Yeah, made a lot of great choices. Intelligent design, my ass. What the fuck is the appendix even doing? Sorry, that's a different day. But being in a position where I was put into like this realization of my status in the world, and working with an organization that's helping me sort of feel empowered to stand against it, it's brought a lot of benefits. It just has been really exhausting to try and manage all of that while also doing the work I'm required for my job and trying to manage my class load, which this past semester I was learning all about the beep boop machines, computer science, and wouldn't you know, about 2/3 of the way in the semester, I decided to reprioritize which classes I thought were important based on how I was performing. And it just so happened that I dropped the ball completely on the class I was retaking, and now I have to take it a third time, which that's embarrassing. That makes me feel like I don't know anything about what I'm doing. And then when that's happening at the same time as work telling me, oh, well, you're only worth this much, and we don't mind that you're going to starve to death, but you agreed to these wages, and it's, Sometimes it's hard to know that I'm not defined by what the world sees me as, and rather I get to create what the world sees me as. And the process of standing in my own skin ever since coming out has been challenging. To keep it brief, the first experience after coming out is getting out of the military, which that wasn't great. And then I don't know if you've ever looked for a job, rough out there for everyone. And then on top of that, I am a bit of a goofball, but like the clinical kind of goofball, like the kind of, like there's the fun, silly goofball, and then there's like the, maybe that one needs like a little bit of, like supplemental medication to help the normal chemistry occur. And neurodivergence shouldn't be something that is stigmatized, but also there's a reflection in how I think of it from how I was brought up to see the world. And that entire fabrication and construct of what the world is being shifted entirely by changing the perspective at which I'm perceiving the world after coming out and being true to who I am. It's interesting to me because we aren't limited in our experiences near as much as the world would have us believe. We can actually do so much more, but oftentimes we hear people tell us no, and we internalize that no, and we don't recognize that we don't need to listen to the people who say no. We can actually just let them say no, and you know what they'll be good at? Saying no, while we get good at falling in the parking lot, or I'm gonna be real good at calculus 2 in the fall semester. I guarantee one class I'm not deprioritizing ever at all. And again, it's not to say like, I'm not necessarily only a person who failed in math. I am also a person who is underpaid at work, and also a person who was born into the proletariat class, and a person who is compelled to engage with society independent of my desire to spend all my time with my animals. And like, it's so fun. I was watching Vampire Diaries the other day, and I don't know if you've ever had 3 cats on you at once, but they're so soft. They're just fun. And I want there to be a world that like people don't struggle in, but it's challenging because I am one person, and there are organizations that are doing some cool work like DSA, but it really comes down to people have to want to change. And I think that's something that, for me, if people don't change, I go out of existence, because that's what's going to happen to trans people under like conservative dictatorialship. Like, they just don't acknowledge our existence, which is funny. It's funny. I love arguing with them. Don't get me wrong. I mean, every time they misgender me, don't get me wrong, I'll always correct them. I'll let them know. But like, it's just, I don't want them to shoot me because they're so upset that I hurt their feelings by letting them know that they're ignorant to the multitude of experiences people can have in the world. And just because, how do I phrase this? They think there are 2 genders. It's like someone only ever having apples and oranges and then grapes coming out, and they're like, that's not an apple or an orange. And it's like, it doesn't have to be an apple or an orange. Well, I know all about fruits because I know apples and oranges. And it's like, are you a fruit studier, or like, do you grow farms? Are you in agriculture? Nope, I ate apples and oranges. Yeah, sure, you know a lot. Yeah, okay, well, And then you like have to pat them on the head and tell them good job and like put their artwork on the refrigerator even though they had an AI make it. And you're like, oh God, what are they? Samsung fridge, play Despacito, please. And it's just a chaotic mess. But I believe that there is a place for compassion for those who are like capable of growing out of that ignorance. Those who are not, I mean, they'll be dealt with. But it just is one of those things that there's a lot going on in the world. And I hope no one's dealing with it alone. Because sometimes I feel alone, but then I'll put on like a YouTube video and see someone get worked up about silly stuff and just, you know, the things we find important in life sometimes aren't as serious as we take them to be, but it's fair given that we believe our own existence to be important. Many of us are navigating a world that tells us our existence is inconsequential, indifferent, or like disposable, and I just don't think that's true. I think that the world is wrong, and I think that we as people are capable of changing it, but we have to stand united, and I don't think that that's going to occur without like revolutionary thought becoming something that becomes embodied in the like consciousness of how we approach our interactions with society. If you see a rule you don't like, break it. Who cares? What are they gonna do? I mean, we got people in office right now. We got a pedophile sex cabal running the US. Like, but we might as well be in wild, wild west times. Don't let the media tell you how the world is when the media is literally like bought and paid for by the bourgeoisie. Their job is to cull an entire population and generate passivity. And what we need is passion. We need drive, and we need someone who's able to get things done, not someone who's out here like rallying cries around demagogue ideals and creating like sort of false narratives for people to follow. Like it's adult tantrums. And then you got the weird like Democrat response to it. I mean, politicians are just disgusting people. And honestly, it would be great if we had a society where we could just like govern ourselves so well that we just don't have politicians. Honestly, them, corporate lobbyists, the insurance companies, just get rid of all of it. And you say, oh, well, what about those people with jobs? Oh yeah, hey, what if we had a society that provided for its people? Wouldn't that be nice? You know, we always think, oh, it's a failing on the people that they can't make it in the world. But we never understand it's the world that creates an environment where those people can't make it. It's not always like an inability. Sometimes it's circumstantial, environmental, and there are factors that play into situations. And so often, again, the reason the religious frustrate me is they'll write things off and say it's by the grace of God or something and completely ignore the fact that, like, if it's by the grace of God, what about the people starving in the street? Oh, communism's killed this many people. Yeah, how many people die under capitalism every day? All the time. Constantly. Look at the war going on. We got genocide going on. And it's a lot. But we can all do a little bit. And I think if we all are willing to sort of, I don't know, reach out and share what we know and correct the people who are ignorant, tomorrow will always be better. Sometimes it just sucks trying to get through today. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Sorry for the delay. Hopefully I'll be back to doing one video a week, so I'll be back next week. My water heater broke, then my AC went out, and then my tire popped, all while I'm negotiating for a raise at work because I'm not gonna be making enough money during a period in my life where I make less money than normal because it's the summertime. And then on top of that, like a big collapse of like stress in pretty much every area. But what's wild is even in the face of oppression, I still sometimes think it's kind of funny that I'm able to handle it. Like, I mean, I'm still here. I'm still going to work. I don't care how mad I get or how frustrated I get. I'm still gonna go fix like circuits and stuff. Like, it's still like, still gets me excited, and like, I still have a good time doing the things I like doing. It's hard not to fixate on the things that aren't going good though. When they're, you know, sort of crucial or critical to the existence I want to live. And yeah. Anyway, again, sorry, thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next week, and have a good one. Love you. Bye.